Are you a person who fails themselves? Can you take an honest look at yourself and realize that you do that often in your life? Are you even aware that you're doing it to yourself? Or are you really big into failing others or having others fail? That's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the archetype of the saboteur. So if you can, like and subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell, and that way you can get my latest videos and what's coming forward. And my videos are mostly about health, about moving forward, about hope. And it's going to take a lot of hope to look at this video today because the archetype of the saboteur is something that's very dark, very dismal, and it's something that we all have. But taking a good, courageous look at it can help you. It can help you see where you might have failed yourself in the past so you can make changes and make sure that you don't do it again. Let's check that out. So a saboteur, the definition of a saboteur is someone who sabotages other people. All right, well then what's the definition of sabotage? Definition of sabotage is deliberately destroying, damaging, or obstructing someone, something, for your own personal gain. Now, when I researched that, I think that's a good definition, but it's not the definition that I really want to go with, because that definition has much more to do with, like, you know, fighting, military gain, political gain, business kind of gains. You know, you're working at all this stuff and you're building and building and building, and sometimes there's something that you kind of have to just destroy because it's holding you back to getting to the next level. That's a whole bunch of gain and little destruction. That's not the archetype. What I'm talking about with the archetype is someone who destroys themselves. Self-sabotage. Or someone who's hell-bent out of their own fears and insecurities, always trying to destroy others. And like I said, it is hard to find the good in that. Because when you look at storytelling and you look at saboteurs, you look at people who betray or backstab, names like Judas come up, who betrayed Jesus. Names like Benedict Arnold, Machiavelli. Those names, you don't even have to know their stories very well, but you know when people refer to those names, they're talking about somebody of low character. And this is something that we all have. But there's a light side to it, and that's what I want to talk about today. Because you have to find the light in all of these archetypes. These people exist, these things exist, even in us. And the light side of the saboteur is acknowledging that we all share this, that you yourself even have this, that you will sabotage, destroy something for your own gain, or you might even sabotage yourself. And when it comes to the reasoning behind this sabotaging, whether it goes, you know, either way, it's all based in fear and insecurity. Some people who do it to others find it's the only way that they can win. That's what they truly believe. I have a friend who had a dream, okay, this is an example of it, where she had this dream where she was in a department store taking all these really good things like 95% off, and there were a bunch of people doing it, and she was gathering things, but like out of fear, like I need to get all this stuff. And then she turned and looked and saw the owners of the store, and she saw their sadness and their hurt that everyone was just taking from them. And that touched her. It made her feel guilty, but it didn't stop her. So she grabbed all her stuff, goes to the front, you know, counter and goes to pay. And when she goes to pay, she realizes, where's all my stuff? I grabbed more than this in the store. She started realizing people have been stealing from me while I was in the store. That was a crazy dream. And that was a dream of just complete fear and sabotage. I mean, you feel that you're hurting somebody else for your own gain. Someone else is taking from you so you can't gain. That's what I see when it comes to the saboteur in terms of sabotaging other people. There's not much gain. There's always a bunch of sabotage. Now, when it comes to the self-saboteur, it's basically the same things. It's fear and insecurity, and it's something I'm very familiar with. I'm not someone who really just goes and tries to sabotage others, but as a self-saboteur, and why I've done it in the past, or why I know that I've done it, is being afraid of change. Being afraid of change for the better, even. Maybe you don't feel like you're worth it. Or maybe even when it comes to self-empowerment, if people empower me and then I have a voice, what if I say the wrong things, or if I do the wrong things? I'd much rather just be comfortable in my very uncomfortable life, or the life that I don't really want. That is some crazy self-sabotage. When it comes to self-sabotage, a story of a friend told me, imagine a guy who really wants more than anything to get married and fall in love and have kids, but he's insecure about the way he looks, about his weight, any of those kinds of things. This was my friend. And he would go on dates. And on these dates, he would be having a good time until a point he just started letting the fear get a hold of him, and he would sabotage the date so that they would not ask him back out again. Also, what comes up in my mind right now is Norm from Cheers. There was an episode where Norm was asked to be a beer taster as a job, and he tries out for it, and he does outstanding because that's all the guy does is drink beer all day, right? And so he goes back for, I'm not sure if it's like the second interview or something, but when he goes back, he sabotages it. And everyone was saying, like, oh, this is the dream job, everything. And a couple of his friends knew, like, he's going to blow it. He's going to blow it because he's Norm. Now, if you think about this episode that they put together on Cheers, they thought was really important. Why would they put an episode like this on? Well, it's because we find those characters very lovable. You have mercy for them, you on them. And these are, they're an example of ourselves, of what we do to ourselves. But that's the tough thing, is that I don't want to live as that person. I do not want to be that person. I'm way too familiar with it. Now, when it comes to my story and my example of it, and the dark side of it is my father. My father was a very good example of a person who was a self-saboteur. He died way too young. He was very successful, though. He worked hard, made a lot of money, and he told me that the Army gave him that discipline, so that discipline and certain connections, opportunities with certain friends who wanted, more for themselves also, he went for it, and he provided a lot for our family. But it got to the point where after about 10, 15, 20 years, it started getting so big that he started explaining to my mother, like, I can't do this. This is too much. I'm not worth it in a way. I didn't graduate high school. My siblings did. I have more money than they do. That's the way it seems to be going. I can't do this. This doesn't feel right. And what he did is he ended up making changes to his life. He made these changes to let his workers know, I'm like you guys. I'm not a big boss. I'm not the guy in charge. To be that is horrible. I'm going to be like you guys. I'm going to get down to your level and just be here because that's who I am. I'm not this business owner and this big money guy. That's what ended up happening in his life. He became much more like his workers. The money seemed to be changing quite a bit. He wasn't behaving like a person who's running a company. And most of his workers were going through divorce, financial problems. That's what he ended up matching. The sad part about most of this is that I don't even think he realized what he was doing to us, his children, and to his wife, and how I learned to be like this. My son recently wants to hear music by Eminem. It's because the Super Bowl halftime special, his friends started playing it at school, and he wanted to hear it. So I started playing some of it, with a PG edited version, and it's very difficult because in the song Lose Yourself, he sings, you only get one shot, do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. I have blown once in a lifetime opportunities. I am 47 years old now. I have a good look back on my life. It's not done yet, but looking back in my 20s and my 30s, I just used my instincts at the time, what I felt was right. And looking back and realizing I completely closed the door on things that would have been changing my life for the better. And I only did it because of fear, because I had low self-esteem. I didn't believe in myself, and I didn't want to step up. I just thought, you know what, I will be comfortable in my very horrible life. That is so sad. That is such a feeling that I don't want anyone to have, especially my own children. I've tried to change it, okay? Very difficult because I try to make conscious decisions to change it. But when you have instinctive decisions that you make and you don't take that opportunity as soon as it comes your way, when you don't grab because you were taught not to, it's very difficult, especially knowing that this will affect my own children and my wife maybe in some bad ways. And I don't want to do that. So I'm trying my best to have the courage to look at the saboteur in myself, look at my mistakes, not dwell on them, not even have regret too much. Just really look at them and realize maybe that's something that could teach me so that I don't do it again. Or even watching my son and realizing that he does want to grab everything. Maybe I can learn a lot by being like him in my life. Being what I was taught was a misbehaving boy. Maybe I should just go for it and grab it. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. If you can, like I said, like and subscribe. I really want to be able to share this stuff with you. It's kind of heavy, some of the stuff that we talk about here, but I really think that it can benefit you by looking in the mirror. and by looking at these things. One of the greatest things I think I've done is not only just learn from my son, but I've also told my wife, I do this. I have done this in my life. Please speak up if you see me doing it and I don't notice that I am. Because I don't want to make those mistakes again. I want to grab that moment. I want to never let it go. Sometimes you only get one shot. So, okay. Love you very much. Hope you like the message. Peace.